I think we can neglect what it looks like when we listen to ourselves. Up, cool kids, you're tuned in to another episode of the Power in Prose podcast. How are y'all feeling? Summer is almost over for real. I'm like, oh my gosh. I want to talk about listening to yourself. A lot of times when we talk about sharing our stories and our voices, common themes will come up. We'll talk about owning your truth, right? We'll talk about setting boundaries with other people. So that way, as you share your truth, if they don't accept that truth, how do you move forward now with them, right? And so I think once we start to do that, us sharing and going for what we want, speaking up at work, talking with friends, a loved one, it starts to be other people focused, and that those people should listen to me, or what's going to be the outcome if I go for this thing, if I share this moment with somebody. And I think we can neglect what it looks like when we listen to ourselves. You are with you all day, every day. You've been with you from day one, and you're going to be with you to the end. Because of that, we can think that we know what we're going to say. We can think that we know what we feel. We can think that we know our response, our triggers, and our messages are to ourselves. And that's why we're trying to save other people, because we know the message. However, there are times where I feel we get so used to that and used to saying, I know what I'm going to say. I know how I feel about this situation. They need to know how I feel. They need to understand my point of view on this situation. That we can shut ourselves down. That there can be times when our mind, our body, our souls is trying to tell us something, is trying to communicate, and we brush it off because I know my mind, I know my body, and I know my soul. And so I don't need to tune in because I'm always tuned in. I always know what's happening. But there'll be times when we can miss it. And again, it's not always even intentional or a negative shutting down of self. It just happens over time because life gets busy. We do things and we know ourselves for the most part. And so I just want to give a couple of quick reminders for a check-in for yourself as you practice listening to yourself. Mind, please note, the Holy Spirit is a guide. And what's so great about him being your guide is that he lives in you. And sometimes we think that we're telling ourselves no or shutting ourselves down when we have an idea or when we think something that's out of the norm or seemingly irrational when the thought first comes into our head, that we're shutting ourselves down. But really, we're shutting down our God, and our God will 100% take us to places that we're not used to, will 100% present something that may seem irrational at first, but it's because we're going on a new path. We're going opening new doors. We're talking to new people. We are going to experience some new things. There are new things that are coming our way that we need to prep for. And so our God, who is helping us prep, who is helping us get ready, who is helping us step into those new atmospheres, will deliver thoughts into your mind. When we listen and roll with that, something told me, or I had a feeling, you start to realize that it's not as scary as you thought. And that listening to yourself actually helps you listen to God. It helps you build up that discipline of walking by faith. But I think that there are times when we feel that that's super hard to do, or this person or those people are good at hearing from God, but I don't hear from him like that. We don't have a relationship like that. I'm not that close yet. I'm figuring this whole faith thing out. And all those things could be true. I don't think that we're ever going to stop figuring out God's ways because he changes up how he talks. Let's talk about that. And there's always going to be somebody who's further along, but that's great because it shows us how we can adapt different traits, ideas, and modes of communication in our relationship and our walk with God. I think that those moments can happen, but the Holy Spirit will guide us. And the Holy Spirit is just when you accept Christ into your life and you say that Jesus died for me so that way I can be free, I can live. And if I mess up, if I miss the mark of living a perfect life, which we all will, that it's all good because Jesus lived a perfect life. And I believe that. And so because I believe that, I'm now seen as righteous or seen as perfect by God because me and Jesus is homeboys, homegirls, right? So that is what that means. Once you accept Jesus, he gives you the Holy Spirit. So that's kind of how that breaks down. And there are plenty of videos, messages, churches that will have you do a prayer of confession of faith. But you could literally say right now, like, Jesus, I believe that you died for me. And because you died for me, I am dedicating myself to walking in your light. You say that, he hears you and he's like, all right, we good. Let's do it. Here's the Holy Spirit. Let's live well. And that's it. When we profess that, and if you're a believer, you already know you have the Holy Spirit already. Don't let anybody try to tell you it's all these moves and grooves that you got to do. You got him. And so since you have him, he on his job 24/7. He gonna do it all day, every day. He's gonna guide you. He's gonna give you tips and tricks. You'll see some signs, all of these things. And they are to help your mind get used to. The word tells us to renew our mind. The Holy Spirit helps us to renew our mind, because otherwise, how would we be able to do it? We'll just think the same thing and do the same habits that we did before. But with the Holy Spirit, we're able to think in new ways, and our thoughts lead us to do new things. And so listening to our minds is so key, especially when it's good messages, y'all. Y'all know we be shutting down stuff that's a good idea. We shut down things that are favorable to us, that could set off our family, our friends, because of fear, or sometimes it's unfamiliar. It's like, I don't even think stuff like that. I don't even do stuff like that. I don't even go places like that. And it seems like it's reasonable why we shut down the idea, but it's typically not. It's just new and unfamiliar. And that is what's giving us the resistance. And so listen to our mind. What new messages have been coming up? And they actually ain't been going away. Like, they are hanging out, and they're not harmful. They're not bad. They would actually propel you to the dreams that you have in your mind, but you kind of been shutting it down. You kind of haven't been prioritizing it, or it doesn't seem like the right time. It might be that it is the right time and that it is the right message, but you're shutting down that part of yourself because you're like, I know me and me is good. And there's a new part of you, there's a new voice that's within you that's trying to guide you along your path. So first thing we need to do is listen to our mind. Next is our bodies. And y'all know we've been neglecting our bodies at times. I was talking to my friend literally this morning, saying a prayer over me or whatever. And she was like, I pray that she releases her jaw and that there's no tension in her body. And I literally was clenching my jaw as she prayed that. Like, it was crazy. And we was not on FaceTime, so she had no way to like see tension in me, but it was a thing. And I was like, oh dang, I just be walking around like that sometimes, where I'm clenching my teeth together, where I'm just sitting in a way that's not comfortable. And I'm like, why am I sitting like this? And I will readjust. And there are times where we will neglect listening to our bodies. How many times do you hold stress in your body and you don't notice it? And then you look up 2 weeks later and you're like, yeah, like my back been kind of hurting. And it's like, your back was hurting 2 weeks ago. And it was trying to tell you that it was hurting. It was trying to tell you maybe we should stretch, wake up 10 minutes earlier in the morning so we could stretch this thing out. It was trying to tell you, I actually haven't gotten enough sleep, so we need to get off TikTok and go to bed earlier. Our bodies will tell us what we need, right? And so listen to yourself. What is your body trying to tell you? What is it trying to communicate? And the same can be applied for positive emotions. When you spend time with somebody and you leave that moment and you're just walking home happy, you just are like, I had a great day. Or you make a tweet and you're like, you're talking about something else and not the interaction with that person, but everything that you're saying is positive. Everything that you're doing is positive. You go to watch TV and you want to watch something positive. That is your body saying, hey, I really enjoyed that moment that we just had. You want to pay attention to that. When you smile, and there are plenty of scenarios, reasons why we smile, right? If you smile every time you get coffee from your favorite local coffee shop, that is telling you something, that you like the atmosphere of that place, that waking up and going at that time, or if you get an afternoon coffee, going at that time and taking a walk, that's good for your body. Your body enjoys that movement, the interaction that you have with the barista because she's nice and she gets your order right. You like that, and you want to have more mini interactions like that. So you could take that learning from your body away from the local coffee shop barista girl, right, and apply it to when you go to Trader Joe's and maybe you typically don't talk to the Trader Joe's people because it's not your coffee shop people, but because your body actually is responding well to that interaction, you might actually benefit from having a conversation with the Trader Joe's person, right? And so our bodies kind of train us actually on what we need, what we don't need, what is working for us, what is not working for us. You eat a certain fruit and your whole day is better, or You were able to have better portion control with your lunch because of your breakfast, right? All of those things you can notice, like, I was in a better mood today, or it was actually easier for me to go to sleep tonight. I wonder what that was about. Uh, Working out actually did whatever for me, right? So our bodies will let us know for both negative and positive outcomes how we actually feel. Our job as the cognitive person, we're not aware to it. I'm not even telling my body to tell me to blink right now. I'm just gonna blink, right? And so you won't always be aware of those moments. You may not always even be able to track it. But when we listen and tune in and create more spaces to pause, we'll actually start to notice patterns, places, people that are giving us those negative or positive responses. And then we can kind of store it and then replicate or pause any actions that are either working for or against us. So listening to our bodies is super, super, super important because our bodies speak to us all day. So listen to yourself there. The last reminder that I want to give is our souls. Now, here, you got to dig deep, but not really. When we talk, our soul usually gets a word in. And sometimes it can be sneaky. Sometimes it can be something that we're not aware of. Other times it can be loud and your soul is screaming and it's like, we angry, we're sad, we're lonely, we're whatever, right? But there are other times when you could be talking on the phone for an hour, 2 hours with your best friend. And then there's one sentence that you say, and that's how your soul feels. That's how you feel deep down. And it's come to the surface. And again, because you're used to you, your best friend's used to you, the conversation doesn't stop. It actually keeps rolling after you've said that. And it's because it might not even be something out of the norm, but that doesn't mean it's not something that we should yield and pay attention to. Your soul is going to get a word in at some point. And some of us are really, really skilled and good at shutting our soul down, silencing our soul. And it's not even because we don't like ourselves or any self-hate, right? It is typically because there are spaces when our soul didn't feel safe to communicate, didn't feel safe to share. And so sometimes it'll just kind of test the waters. Like, I think I can say something here and not get cursed out. I think I can say something here and not be misunderstood. I think I can say something here and the desired outcome will happen. So I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to throw this little bit in and hopefully you catch it. And that is why it's important to stop and see, what am I saying right now? Am I even aware of the words that are coming out of my mouth? How are people responding to me right now? And sometimes that's a way that we can notice that our soul has just said something when a conversation does shift. So sometimes it doesn't because of the familiarity, the habits that we have, and things like that. There are other times when people be like, oh, wow, I didn't know you felt that way. And then you'd be like, I don't know, I felt that way either, actually, right? Or there'll be times when somebody will deeply resonate with something that you said and you thought it was regular. That happens to me all the time, where I'll say something and I'm like, girl, I was just said cucumbers are cucumbers and they're related to pickles. Like, I'll say something regular, right? And somebody will be moved to tears. And I'm like, what did I say? Our souls connect to each other. We will be able to dive deeply on a level with somebody that's a stranger that we have talked to one time in Target, and we'll feel what they're saying so deeply. And a lot of times when that happens, we're being the most real and the most honest, and our soul is actually present at the forefront. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. If everybody else can listen to your soul, hear what you're saying, and respond to it in a positive way, how much better would it be if you were able to listen to yourself and respond to your soul in a positive way? You were able to make shifts, that your life was able to be changed because of you listening to you. Again, our bodies, our minds, our souls, the internal workings of ourselves are always communicating to the outer workings of ourselves. Before we go to do that project, hang out with that person, explore this new space, our bodies are aware that that's happening. Our minds are aware that's happening. And so it will send a signal. I'm excited about this. I'm a little apprehensive about this. That was a great interaction. That was a not so great interaction. And as we learn how to listen to ourselves, it actually makes us better communicators with other people on our wants, our needs, our desires. We're able to have a better experience on this big blue and green earth. Okay. Just a little reminder for all the cool kids out there, listen to yourself. Do a check in. It could save you, it could heal you, it could connect you to the very people that you're looking for. A lot of us are looking for our crew and people that just get it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are looking for business deals and partners, right? And people that understand what's our creative vision, what we're trying to build, and not taint it. When we listen to ourselves and we actually say, no, this is the mission for what I'm trying to do, then you are able to accurately depict that to other people. And you either find people that are down and they want to help, or you find people that don't, and that propels you to keep on to the next person. But we have to do the check-in and listen up first. And the more that we do that, the more that that becomes easier, the more that we're able to have other people do check-ins. And that way, so it's like, I'm unclear on what you need. What do you need? And then you can tell them, like, this is what happens when I figure out what I need and how I can communicate that. And so if you're in a difficult situation, if you find that somebody actually isn't using boundaries well, because your boundaries with yourself are so on point, you could actually help guide somebody else to have those same practices. So listening up and in is very, very, very important. It's key, it's pivotal, and it'll help you on your journey. So the power tool, I mean, it's been what we talked about this whole episode, but the power tool is to listen to yourself. Take the time and zero in on what your mind, your body, and your soul is trying to communicate with you. You might be surprised about what you have to say. I love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all the love on all the platforms. Like, y'all really been teeing me up, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. Like, this journey has been something, but again, as always, we in it together. So I love you. If this is helpful, if you know somebody that's like, you need to tune into this, be sure that you share it with them. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Prose and Praise Pages newsletter. It's my weekly newsletter where I give you a little bit of inspo throughout the week, and you can keep up with all the things that are happening here over at Power in Prose. I love y'all. Remember to profess your power, and that's power in prose. Bye.